Welcome to the relaxing world of home massage. Congratulations on your purchase of the Home Massage Instruction Kit. I'm Paulette Adams, president of A2Z Possibilities, which developed and manufactures this kit for your health and well-being. It's my pleasure to introduce the expert we have chosen to instruct you in the proper methods and techniques of therapeutic massage. Will Green is the president of the International Massage Association, owner of the oldest and largest stress management center in Washington, D.C., and a professional who has personally massaged over 20,000 clients, many of whom are ambassadors, cabinet members, and business leaders. So relax and enjoy as Mr. Will Green takes you into the art of therapeutic massage.
Hello, I'm Will Green, President of the International Massage Association. In this session, I intend to share with you the simple principles of therapeutic massage. I expect that you will be participating as I am instructing, so throughout this class I will periodically recommend that you pause the tape so that you can prepare and practice what you have learned to that point. But before we begin, I want to give you a short overview of the importance of massage. Working muscles and cells need oxygen and nutrients that are supplied by the bloodstream and transferred to the cells by the lymph fluid, which constantly washes over the cells in your body. Working muscles and cells also produce waste products or toxins, such as lactic acid, urea, and carbon dioxide, which is transferred back to the blood supply by the lymph fluid. During exertion or stress, a higher volume of waste product is produced and can accumulate within the lymph system, causing the muscles to stiffen, to get hard, and to feel tired or sore. Muscle cramps are caused by too much lactic acid around the muscle cells. The purpose of the lymphatic system is to filter the lymph fluid through lymph nodes, to ensure a healthy environment for cells, and to produce a form of white blood cell called lymphocytes, which help fight infection. Unlike the blood supply, which depends upon the heart for circulation, the lymphatic system depends upon the contraction and the expansion of muscle fibers for circulation. When muscles stiffen when they get hard, they restrict the lymph fluid circulation and deprive the cells of much-needed oxygen and nutrients. The primary purpose of massage is to enhance the circulation process of the bloodstream and lymph system, in order to increase the supply of oxygen and nutrients to the cells and remove the waste byproducts from the cells, thereby relaxing the muscles, reducing stress, and increasing the production of lymphocytes, which fight infection. Would you believe that over 50% of the visits to doctors each year are for the treatment of headaches, and 9 out of 10 headaches are tension headaches? This video session is intended to teach you to naturally relieve tension, headaches, and stress with proper massage techniques and the state-of-the-art mat. Here is what you are going to learn in this class. First, I'm going to demonstrate the use of the mat, the ease of setting it up and folding it away. I'll show you how to properly place the person you are going to massage, both in the face-up and face-down position. Then I'm going to show you how to properly posture yourself so that you will have lots of energy and won't get tired. You'll learn how to use your hands as an extension of your body and some simple, effective massage strokes that give great results. I'll cover the use of aromatherapy during your massage. I'll define draping, how to cover the person you are massaging so that they feel comfortable. You'll learn how to massage the back, the spine, the shoulders, the neck, the base of the skull, and the temples and forehead, all of which are intended to help you relieve stress. And finally, I'll briefly discuss what to do after a massage. You've taken your mat out of the box. All the pieces are lying on your bed. We have the face cradle and the chest bolster and the ankle bolster. The ankle bolster I'm going to place at the head of the bed, near the pillows. The face cradle goes at the foot of the bed. And we have to put the face cradle together, so I'm going to show you how easy that is. The face cradle is lying on its back, and we take the legs and just Velcro them in place. Turn the face cradle over, push it against the chest bolster, and there we are, all set, ready to go. But if you're like me, I don't like to wash very much. So I don't really want to wash this mat a lot. So I'm going to take 3 face cloths, and I'm going to lay one of them on either side of the face cradle and one across the forehead. Now the face cradle is not going to get as dirty as it would. I'm going to take a nice bath towel, and I'm going to flip the bath towel out right here, right over the chest bolster, and there we go. Now I can wash the towels. I don't have to wash the mat quite as often. So I'm going to give my friend a really great massage. Then when I'm done, I'm going to have to pack up and either put the mat away or take it to the next place that I'm going to go. So I'm going to fold up the bath towel and get it out of the way. Just set it over here to throw in the wash. And I'm going to take the face cloths off of the face cradle. And now I'm going to pack up, and I'm going to show you how simple this is. I'm going to take the face cradle off, and I'm going to remove the legs. And I'm going to take the chest support, and I'm going to fold it up just like this and have the little Velcro strap come across and put it in place. Turn it upside down. Now I have some pockets, and the pockets are designed for the face cradle. So I slip the face cradle in here. I slip a leg on either side of it. And I'm going to take the ankle bolster and grab a hold of it and stick it down in the other pocket. And here we are, all set up and ready to go. Now I'm going to show you why we use the mat. In this segment, we're going to talk about some massage principles and techniques. First of all, we want to show you the difference between a really great massage and an average massage. And it's very simple. To start with, we always keep both hands in contact with the person that we're massaging. Secondly, we want to use the most surface that we can of our fingertips and our palms. The more surface that we use, the better the feel, the better the touch. The more we're with the person that we're working on rather than being working on them, we're working with them. And thirdly, we're going to reach out of our fingertips, keeping our wrist nice and straight. Reach out of our thumbs. So our position is always that of reaching. So there's no compression in our fingers or our thumb. Now we're going to talk about the strokes that we're going to use to do massage. The first basic stroke is the whole hand stroke. And we're going to wrap the hand and mold the hand to the body part that we're working on. So if we're working on the arm is wrapped by the hand. The next stroke that we're going to use is a thumb stroke. Now realizing we're reaching out of the fingers, reaching out of the thumb. So our stroke is like this. Now if you look at my thumb, there's no movement in my thumb. My thumb is simply an extension of my arm. So my arm is moving my thumb. And the third basic stroke is the fingertip stroke. So if you watch my fingertips, I can bump them back and forth, back and forth, back and forth across the muscle. And these 3 basic strokes produce excellent results. Now we're going to go on and talk just a little bit about aromatherapy. In your kit, you have a little sample vial of relaxation aromatherapy. Now I want to take a few moments and explain aromatherapy to you. The process of smell has 3 stages: reception, transmission, and perception. Our sense of smell is the only sense that directly influences the brain. Stage 1 of smell is reception, where odor molecules are inhaled and bind to our receptor cells. Our receptor cells contain over 20 million nerve endings. Stage 2 is odor transmission, where the receptor cells send messages to the left and right olfactory bulbs at the very base of our brain. This is where cells and neurons interpret and amplify the sensation from the nerve endings. Once interpreted, these messages are transmitted to the limbic system. Stage 3 is perception, where the transmitted message is received by the hypothalamus gland, and at this point, the hypothalamus sends messages to other parts of the brain, such as the pituitary gland and the neocortex. The neocortex then analyzes the sent messages and relates them to other senses and higher brain functions. For example, you smell a food that you really like, and almost immediately you salivate while your digestive process begins to work. Let me give you an example of some aromatherapy possibilities. Stress and headache, what this tape is all about. Use lavender or chamomile. Think about chamomile tea. Or colds or coughs. Eucalyptus. They go hand in hand, don't they? Or fatigue or exhaustion. peppermint, or spearmint. I hope your curiosity has been aroused. In our next segment, positioning, I will show you how to use aromatherapy with your mat. Now I want to show you the problems created by lying on a flat surface. Lucy's lying on the bed. The weight of her thighs forces her pelvis to tilt forward, putting pressure on her low back. Up at the shoulders, because the shoulders are pulled forward in this position, it puts lots of stress on the upper and middle back. And you notice that there's no support here underneath of her neck. Now I'm going to have Lucy flip over and show you the problems of lying on the stomach. In this segment, we're going to talk about positioning, both for your friend and for yourself. But to start with, I have our model, Lucy, lying on the bed. And I want you to look at some things. I want you to look at the arch of her low back, because there's no support under her abdomen. There's lots of pressure on the bottom of her spine. And look at the tilt of her pelvis. It's tilted forward, putting lots more pressure on her back. And come down her legs to her ankles, and you see a tremendous amount of stress on the front of the ankle as her foot's pointed. Now we're going to go up to her neck. When we move up her back, up to her neck, you see this tremendous amount of pressure right here on her neck. And there's strain here in the shoulders, and the shoulders are pushed back, and the arms can only be placed next to the body, which is very discomforting. So now we have all this stress in the shoulders and the neck to overcome. Now I want to show you proper positioning on the mat. Now we're in the same place. Lucy's in the same place, except she's on the mat. And I want you to see the difference. It's very dramatic. First of all, her pelvis is not tilted forward, so she's keeping the proper lumbar curve in her low back. So there's not a lot of pressure right here on lumbar 5, L5. If we follow down her legs to her knees, there's a nice angle on the front of her leg, so her pelvis is relaxed. Follow up to her ankles, and her ankles are supported by the ankle bolster. So now her feet are nice and relaxed, so there's no pressure on the front or the back of her calf. Now I want to move up to her neck. We come up to her neck, and her face is supported comfortably in the cradle, and you don't see any stress here on her neck and shoulders. So we have lots and lots of freedom of movement in the neck and the shoulders. Now I want to talk a minute about the shoulders and the arms themselves. I want to take Lucy's arm, and I'm going to pull it back beside her, and it's nice and comfortable because her shoulder now has some freedom, some relaxation. Or I can put her elbow out to the side and bend her arm, and she's still comfortable. Or if she wants to, she can put her arm forward, but we have lots of latitude for her to relax her shoulders and they're not being shoved back. So I want you to see there's a big difference now in the way her body is positioned on the mat, so it's optimally positioned to massage. And now I told you I was going to show you a little bit about aromatherapy. Well, I'm going to take a face cloth and your little sample vial of aromatherapy, and I'm going to take one little drop, and I'm going to put it here on the face cloth. I'm going to slip the cover right back on the vial, and I'm going to take the face cloth, and I'm going to slip it right here underneath of the face cradle. Now we have a really nice gentle fragrance, an aromatic fragrance, helping relax the whole environment, so the massage is much better. And now I want to show you how the mat works optimally when Lucy turns over onto her back. Now Lucy's lying face up in a supine position, and I want you to notice how comfortable she is in this position. First of all, she has the natural curve of her low back, so she's not stressed. The ankle bolster now moves up to the knees. I want you to look at her shoulders. Her shoulders are nice and relaxed and open, so her chest is nice and open. Her neck is nice and relaxed. Now I'm going to show you what we're going to do with the face cradle. I'm going to take the legs off the face cradle, and we're going to position the face cradle underneath of her neck. So I'm going to get her to lift her head just a little bit and put her hair right through this opening. And there she is. She's completely supported. Now she has cervical support under her neck. She's got lumbar support under her back. And she's got support under her knees. And she's just all relaxed and ready to be massaged. Now I want to show you how to position yourself so that you can give a massage to your friend and not get tired. It's really important. First of all, there's some props that I'm going to share with you. And you have these in your house. I'm going to grab a nice big Washington, D.C. telephone, Yellow Pages. See how thick this is? And I'm going to use a throw pillow, something that you have around your house. Now, in order for me to give Lucy a massage and not wear myself out, I have to position myself so that I don't get tired. In order to do that, I need to be vertical. So if I were tall, I could probably get down on my knee and I could work on her from this position. But because I'm not quite tall enough, and you may be, and if this works for you, this is great. But I'm going to take this telephone directory and I'm going to stick it under my knee. And that gives me about a 3-inch lift. That's a little better. But for me, it's still quite not tall enough. So I'm going to take the throw pillow, and I'm going to put the throw pillow on top of the telephone directory, and there, for me, it's fine. Now for you, maybe you're going to just want to use a throw pillow. Or maybe you're just going to want to use a phone book, or maybe you don't need either. But these are things that you have around the house that are going to keep you in the right position. And I want to show you one more possibility, and it's probably the one I use the most because I'm short. I'm going to remove the throw pillow and the phone book. And I'm just going to take a nice wide stance. And this gets me in a position that's comfortable. So I'm going to work from a wide stance. The important thing is what? The important thing is that you be vertical and that you move your whole body. I want to talk to you for just a minute about draping. Your friend's lying on the mat. You have your bath towel draped over the mat. You have your face cloths over the face cradle. Now you can take a towel and drape it across the hips and down the legs. You can use a sheet if you like. But the truth is a lot of people are modest and want to be covered, and this is just a nice secure way to keep your friend while they're lying on the mat. Now I want to show you what happens when we turn Lucy over and how we drape her when she's lying on her back. Now Lucy's lying on her back, and I've got her positioned so that we can work on her abdomen, her shoulders, and her neck while she's draped. And we've done that by putting a hand towel across her chest and a bath towel from her hips all the way down her legs. So she's nice and comfortable. I've taken the face cradle and placed it under her neck with face cloths on it, so her neck's supported, her low back's supported, her knees are supported, and she's comfortable. She's in an optimal position to be massaged. Now I'm going to have her turn back over, and we're going to start our first lesson, which is low back. So pause for just a moment, and let's get started. In this segment, I'm going to teach you how to massage the back. But before we start, let's go over a couple things. We talked about your proper posturing. It's very important. You need to be straight. You need to be erect. So you can do that either by kneeling down on the phone book or the pillows like we talked about, or you can go into a wide stance. For this segment, I'm going to use a wide stance. I'm going to get my body positioned. I'm going to get down to a nice height so that I can work very easily on the person I'm massaging. Okay? And now I want to get ready to work on her back. So in order to do that, I want to find out the areas that need the most work. And how do I do that? I'm going to show you. Take your hands and gently rub your hands over the back. And some areas are going to be cooler than other areas. And when you get to those cool areas, the cool areas need more work than the warm areas. Now for most people, it's up here on the shoulder or it's down here by the pelvis. So you're going to feel the difference. Now we're going to take your little bottle of oil and we're going to flip the little cap up and put some oil on the palm of your hand. Now I want you to rub the oil between your hands so it warms the oil up. And we're going to take the oil now, we're going to spread it all over the back of the person you're going to be massaging. We want to use plenty of oil. Now this is the pharmaceutical grade sesame oil. It's an excellent oil for the skin. And we'll get a little bit more. And don't be shy, put on plenty of oil. You don't want to create any friction and get any friction between your hands and the skin. So we're going to cover it all the way up to the top of the shoulders and to the bottom of the neck and all over the back. A nice film of oil. And now we're going to start with the basic strokes. And the first basic stroke that we use is the whole hand stroke. Now I want you to reach out of your fingertips, mold your hand to the back, make sure both hands are in contact with the body, and just move back and forth. And it should be a very easy movement, very sliding back and forth across the body. And when you get to the center of your body, we're going to switch hands. Makes it really easy. And easy is important. The easier it is, the longer you're going to be able to massage the person on the bed. We go back and we start with the hand closest to the feet. back and forth. Now you notice that I'm only working on the opposite side of the spine from where I am. So you're going to work across the body, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Molded, 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 reaching and molded. Now, why are we doing this? Well, we have a set of muscles called erectors that come all the way up on either side of the spine, all the way up to the skull. And they support the spine. Then we have a muscle that starts here and it comes up to the shoulder and up to the neck and up to the skull. It's called the trapezius muscle. So we have the erectors and the trapezius muscle. And both of these muscles are affected dramatically by stress. As the muscle gets dehydrated and tightens up and loses its circulation, it gets shorter, pulling the back shorter. So as I'm working back and forth across the erector muscles and trapezius muscle, these muscles are loosening up. They're going to get softer. When they get softer, they're not going to be as dehydrated. When the circulation increases, the back is going to get longer. And this is very important. It's important because the nerves that run the whole body come up between each of the vertebrae in the back. So the nerves are kind of like my fingers. And this is the spine, and these are the nerves in the spine, and as the vertebrae tighten up, the nerves get cut off. And as the vertebrae relax, the nerves relax. Well, if the nerves are relaxed, the whole body works better and has much, much less stress. So this is all about what? Getting rid of stress and getting rid of headaches. Well, as the erector muscles get tight and they shorten the spine, cutting off the nerves, then everything feels discomforting, tension, pain, soreness. We're going to relieve some of that. Back and forth, back and forth. Now, how long would you do this stroke? Well, you may do this stroke 10 or 15 minutes. You could do it 5 or 10 minutes. Do as long as you want to, but if you do it properly, you're not going to get tired. You can do it for a long time. So now this is the whole hand stroke, back and forth, reaching, 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 reaching. Now we're going to add a second stroke. We're going to add a fingertip stroke. So I'm going to take my fingertips. The erector muscle is right on the other side of the spine where my finger's running. I take my fingertips and I'm going to bump, 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 all the way up the erectors from the bottom to the top. And you're going to feel a click, 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 click. And what's interesting is the longer you work on it, the less it's going to click because it's going to get softer. And you can feel the difference under your fingertips. Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And we start again. Now, we always start with the hand closest to the feet. When we get to the center of our body, we switch hands. The hand that's not doing anything is molded to the back of the person you're working on. It's very nurturing and caring. Feels really good. Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Now, I want you to think about this. I want to make sure that your wrist is straight, your back is straight, you're moving your whole body back and forth. You're not moving using the muscles of your biceps. You're not flexing your arms. You're just rocking back and forth, as if you were in a dance. Back and forth, all the way up the erectors. So now let's recap a little bit. We've done the whole hand stroke, and we've gotten the erectors, and we've gotten the trapezius muscle. We call the trapezius muscle in our part of the country the lawyer muscle because there's so many lawyers here in Washington. And they're always reading and studying, and it really tightens up that muscle. So librarians or students or anybody that does a lot of reading or works on a computer is going to have a tight trapezius muscle. And as the muscle relaxes, their whole composure relaxes. Now I'm going to move around to the other side of the body, so I'm just going to stand up and move around, always keeping in contact with the person on the table. Now I'm going to start again, the nice wide stance, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. When I get to the center of my body, I'm going to switch. Now I hope you notice that as I switch, I overlap, because I don't want to leave anything out. I don't want the person that I'm massaging to feel like I've neglected any part of their back. So I'm going to be very careful that I always overlap my strokes. I transition from the hand closest to the feet to the hand closest to the head. Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And the pace is very relaxed and gentle. I'm not in a hurry. I'm not trying to go fast. I just want the person on the table to feel completely nurtured and cared for and relaxed. So when they get up kind of like a bowl of jelly. And back to the base of the spine. Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And transition, overlap, back and forth, back and forth. Now we're going to go to the second stroke, the fingertip stroke. Bump, 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 bump. Now again, keep your wrists straight, reaching out of your fingertips. Transition and overlap. Reaching, reaching, reaching. Good. Now, isn't that easy? Now, if you're bending your arm, it's not easy, is it? So don't bend your arm. Don't want you bending your arm. I want you to reach, reach, reach. And you're doing good. Now, I want you to take a break, and you'll take a pause on the tape. And I want you to do these 2 strokes. I want you to do them for 10 or 15 minutes. And then when you're ready, come on back and we'll work on the shoulders just a bit, and you'll learn how to work the shoulders. Well, you guys have done really great. You got started. That's the hardest part. Now we're going to move on to the upper back and the shoulders, but I want to teach you how to transition from the low back to the upper back. So I want to recap just for a moment about what we've already done. But first I want you to think about your position. You need to be standing straight, nice and erect, so that you're not stooped forward so your back goes into pain and spasm yourself, because you can't relax somebody when you're not relaxed. We're going to start with the whole hand stroke. Your arms straight. When you get to the center of your body, you're going to switch hands. Back and forth. Then we went to the erector bump again, reaching out of the fingers, bump, bump, straight arm. Your back's nice and straight, bump, 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 bump. When you get to the center of your body, you switch and overlap just a little tiny bit. And bump the erectors all the way up to the top of the shoulder. And now I'm going to move around to the opposite side and do the same thing, but in the process, I'm not going to lose contact with Lucy. My hands are still in contact. And I'm going to do the first stroke, the whole hand stroke, back and forth, keeping myself nice and straight, back and forth, from the hips all the way up to the top of the shoulders, then the erectors. Bump, bump, bump. Very important. Straight arm, reaching with the fingertips, reaching, 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 reaching as you bump across the erectors. Bump, 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 bump. Now we're going to transition to the upper part of the back and the shoulders. So again, I'm going to move to the end of the bed. I'm going to keep my hands in contact, working my way around nice and easy. And now I'm going to either get down on my knees, or I'm going to do a wide stance, or I'm going to get down on the phone book or the pillow. But for me, the knee is fine for the end of the bed. So now my hands are placed comfortably on Lucy's shoulders. And I'm going to do another erector bump with my thumb. But this time I'm going to open my hand. I'm going to put my thumb on one side of the spine, my fingers on the other, starting at about the line of the bottom of the shoulder blades. I'm going to work, bump, pushing across the erectors. And as I push, I'm not using my thumb per se using its muscles. I'm using my thumb reaching as an extension of my arm. Bump, 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 bump. Does that feel okay? Mm-hmm. Good. And we're going to do this 8 or 10 times. Okay? Now we're going to do it maybe 3 or 4 times on the left side or the right side, whichever you're on. And then we're going to switch and use the other hand, because we don't want to wear out whatever we do. So now this is an extension of the erector bump that we started with. So I want you to do this maybe 4 or 5 times on each side of the spine. Bump, 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 bump. Now you watch, my fingers are on one side of the spine, my thumb is on the other. This is the new stroke. Now we're up into the shoulders. Now we're going to take our middle fingers and across the same line at the bottom of the shoulder blade, a line coming right across here, we're going to take our fingertips and we're going to drag all the way up the groove next to the spine, all the way up to the edge of the skull, and we're just going to lean back. So now I don't want you to bend your arms, I want you to keep your arms straight and just lean back and stretch off the shoulders up to the edge of the skull. Stretch, stretch. Now I'm going to teach you this probably the number one stroke, the main stroke of everything we do for stress. Now we're talking about headaches and stress. There's a muscle that connects right here. We talked about it earlier. It connects at the top of the shoulder blade, and it runs to the third vertebrae from the skull right here. So it runs right here, just like this. On this side, it runs right here, just like this. And when you take the pad of your thumb and rub across it, now you see I'm not bending my thumb is just an extension of my arm. You feel something that feels maybe like the size of your little finger here, and you're bumping back and forth across it. Now, it's hard to find somebody that you can't feel this muscle on, but you shouldn't feel it on anybody. The reason we feel it is because it's so tense and so tight. And one of the things that happens when this muscle gets tight is that we lift our shoulders, and that puts lots of pressure on our neck. We pull the skull down into the neck, put pressure on the brainstem. We get migraine headaches. Now I'm going to do a little bit of movement with my right hand, then I'm going to switch and I'm going to use the pad of my left thumb. And watch the stroke. It's really simple. My arm's straight. I'm using my whole arm, not just my thumb. And you can probably stay here for 15 or 20 minutes if you want to on one side. And then we'll go to the other side. The same stroke. Bump, 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 bump. Now how far up are we coming? We're coming up to the bottom of the neck. All the way up, back and forth. Now you can go either direction, back and forth. And what happens is as this muscle relaxes, the neck turns much more easily. So if you turn your head, or anybody turns their head, they should be able to look right over their shoulder and down their back. But most of us can't do that. And it doesn't seem like it could even be a reality until these muscles are de-stressed or relaxed. Now, what is a tight muscle? A tight muscle is a muscle that lacks moisture. It's dehydrated. Doesn't have any fluid moving between the fibers. So we're going to do this for a little while. And you notice that I'm only working on one side at a time. I'm not interested in working on both sides because I couldn't focus on two sides at once. The less muscles involved in a stroke, the better the focus. So now we'll go back to the other side. Back and forth, back and forth. One of the secrets of doing great massages and not wearing out is switching hands often. You don't wait till your hand's tired to switch. You switch often. 3 or 4 or 5 strokes, switch. 3 or 4 or 5 strokes, switch. Now we're going to go back and we're going to do a little more dragging. Dragging, pulling. Dragging, pulling. Now how do you know when you've pulled enough? Well, you watch the heels of the person you're working on, and when you see the heels move, that's enough of a pull. Dragging, dragging, dragging up off the shoulder, and dragging up off the shoulder. Now we've loosened up the shoulders, this whole shoulder girdle. Now I'm going to hold the head with one hand, and I'm going to push the shoulder with the other, and drag back up to the skull. Push and drag. Does that feel okay?
Wonderful.
Push and drag. Switch hands, push and drag. Push and drag. And one more time. Push and drag. Now, we've done a lot on the back and the shoulders, and now we're going to work on the neck and the next segment. So what I want you to do is I want you to take your time and practice the things that we've just done. I want you to practice them a lot. Now you're looking for muscles that are tense and hard, and you're going to rub them until they're soft and flexible. And I want you to play with this a while. Pause, take your time, have some fun working across that muscle back and forth. And then when you're ready, turn the tape back on and we'll go to the next segment, the neck and the scalp. Now we're back at the end of the bed. You've worked on the stress muscle, the levator scapula. You've done the erector bump with the thumb, and you've done some dragging. Now we're going to move on up and we're going to teach you how to address the neck. And most people's neck is about ½ inch shorter than it should be simply because the muscles are so tight that the neck is compressed. So we're going to relax the neck and allow the person that we're caring about to have a nice long flexible neck. So to start with, we're going to repeat a couple strokes. We're going to repeat the drag. And then remember, when you're doing the drag, you're doing what? You're watching the heels. Now this may be a good time to apply a little bit more oil, because if you're getting any redness on the shoulders, you don't have enough oil probably. So you want to add a little bit of oil. Very important. We're going to do the drag off the shoulders, up the side of the neck. And now we're going to address the erectors again. It seems like we always go back to the erectors, don't we? The erectors come right up here, all the way up to the skull. So we're going to take our middle finger, we're going to go back and forth, bumping back and forth on the erector muscles. Now again, you're nice and straight, you're relaxed, your head's on top of your shoulders, and you're not leaning forward. And we're bumping back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Now this is a really subtle one. This is really good because as you bump from the shoulder up to the skull, you can start pulling just a little bit as you bump. So you're pulling the skull away from the shoulders and you relieve some of that tension. And you always have to make sure that you're not causing any pain. Does that feel okay?
Yeah.
So bumping back and forth across the erectors, pulling up to the skull and pulling gently. Now we're going to take our fingers and we're going to go down beside the neck and we're going to feel for a thick ridge. This ridge is called the sternocleidomastoid muscle. And we're going to bump back and forth across this ridge. And this ridge ends up right below the ear. And you're going to follow it. It's very easy to find. It's the only big ridge on the side of the neck. And as you follow the ridge down with your fingertips, you just bump back and forth, gently back and forth across the ridge. Gently back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And the sternocleidomastoid muscle supports the front of the neck. The erector muscles support the back of the neck. And now already I can see Lucy's neck relaxing, and there's a big difference already. And it doesn't take a lot of effort, just bumping back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And we go back to the erectors again. Now how much time can you spend here? Well, you could probably spend a half an hour total just working on the erectors and the sternocleidomastoid muscle. The object is not to use lots of pressure, it's to just gently nurture the muscle back and forth, kneading the fibers of the muscle. And why are we doing this? Because we want them to pick up moisture. The more moisture the muscles pick up, the more flexible they'll be. So we're bumping back and forth, back and forth. Now, after you've done this for maybe 5 or 10 minutes, it's a good time to stretch the neck again. So with my left hand, I'm going to hold Lucy's skull, and with my right hand, I'm going to push her left shoulder. Nice long stretch. And drag my fingertips back up the back of the shoulder up to the skull. Does that feel okay? Push and drag. And do this 3 or 4 or 5 times. And as you're practicing and enjoying this learning experience, you can be doing this over and over again. Push and drag. Stroke and push and drag. Stroke and push and drag. It's really pretty simple, isn't it? If you cause pain at all, you're too rough. You don't want to be rough. You want to be nurturing. And we're going to go back and bump and bump and bump and bump. Back and forth across the erectors. And back and forth across the sternocleidomastoid muscles. So what have we added? We've added the erectors and the sternocleidomastoid muscles. Now I want you to take your fingertips and make them like claws. And I want you to come right up at the edge of the skull. I want you to just dig in just a little bit and claw around at the base of the skull. Does that feel okay?
Yeah.
Good. Now you can always ask the person whom you're massaging how it feels, and respond to whatever they want, whether they want it less pressure or more pressure. But now what I'm using the pad of my fingers, and if you will look at my hands, I'm not using my finger muscles. I'm simply placing my fingers in a grip like claws and pulling the pads of my fingers up into the scalp and relaxing the scalp. Now, how much of the scalp can you work on? The whole thing. You can go all over the scalp with your fingers like this. But you don't want to use the points of your fingers. You want to use the pads of your fingers. And you're using the pressure of your arms. Does that feel okay?
Wonderful.
There you go. Now the whole scalp's loosening up and the neck's loosening up. So now you've learned how to do some really simple basic strokes on the back, all the way from the low back all the way up to the skull. So if a person's got lots of stress, we can spend a lot of time on the stress muscles. If they've got a headache, the same muscles are basically headache muscles. So a headache would be the levator scapula muscles and the erectors. So we always work the erectors first. Why? Because if we work the erectors, we loosen up the nervous system. You remember on the very first segment of our training, that you learned that we release the spine because the spine is the center of the nervous system. So now you have a lot to practice. And I want you to take a pause now and practice working on the back. And then come back when you're ready and we'll turn Lucy over and we'll teach you how to work on the front of the neck, the scalp, and the forehead, and the temples. In this segment, we're going to cover the neck, the temples, and the forehead. So Lucy's lying on her back in a supine position. You see that I have her draped. And I'm going to move around to the end of the bed, and I'm going to get on my knees because it's an easy position for me, and I'm going to start working on her neck. So I've already put a little oil across her collarbone, her clavicle, and I've put a little oil on her neck. Now, if you haven't done that yet, you might get a little bit of oil and put a little oil across the top of the shoulders, the clavicle, and a little bit of oil on the neck. But I'm not going to put any oil on her face because just the residue from my fingers will be plenty enough for the temples and for the forehead. So I'm going to start with my index finger right below the collarbone, coming across very gently. Now, you may be able to use your middle finger. It may be better for you. We want to drag very gently across the collarbone. Now, why would we want to do this? Because the muscles that connect here on the neck come under the collarbone and down into the chest. So we're going to drag across just nice and gently. Remember this, that 10 gentle strokes equal 1 deep stroke. So if you're not sure how much pressure to use, don't use so much pressure. Use less. And just do lots more strokes. Now I'm going to take my index finger on the opposite side of the collarbone and I'm going to drag it around the collarbone to free up anything that I can, any muscle that I can that's stuck right here on the edge of the collarbone. Now, in the last segment, when we worked on the sternocleidomastoid muscle, we worked on it from the back. Now we're going to work on it from the front. And the sternocleidomastoid muscle connects right here, and it comes all the way up here to the ear. Only it also connects right here. So it comes in like a Y, just like this, on both sides. Here and here, and it comes in like a Y. So we're going to, with our thumb, we're going to bump that muscle away from the center of the neck. Bump, 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 bump. Now, my opposite hand is touching Lucy's neck, because what do we always do? We always touch the body with both hands. We never work with one hand. Does it feel okay? Good. So now we're coming up the sternocleidomastoid muscle on the right-hand side with our right-hand thumb. Now we're going to move over and we're going to catch the second origin of the beginning of that muscle. And we're going to follow it up to where it comes in together, and we're going to follow it all the way up to the ear. Now, one of the things that makes a massage feel really good is to work on a whole muscle from one end to the other, not to just work on a little part of it. So we're going to follow that sternocleidomastoid muscle all the way up and all the way up on both of the origins or the places that the muscle starts. Now we're going to go to the left side. With our left thumb, using as much of the pad as we can, we're going to bump the sternocleidomastoid muscle all the way up to the ear. Bump, 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 putting no pressure in the center of the neck because we don't want to cut off the windpipe. Make it hard for the person on the bed to breathe. Now we're going to come to the second origin, and we're going to follow up to the Y connection and all the way up to the ear. Now next to the sternocleidomastoid muscle, we have some muscles, 5 little muscles right here called scalene muscles. And they also come right up to the ear. So you can take your index finger if you want to, and you can just bump and you'll feel a little ridge, about like a toothpick. And without too much pressure, follow that ridge till it disappears. And there's 5 of them right here. But the only ones you're going to find are the ones that are tight. So you may not find any, or you may find 5. So just not too much pressure, using the whole side of your finger. Does that feel okay? Mm. These are called scalene muscles. And now we're going to go to the left side the same way. Now one thing you're going to have to be really careful of is the length of your fingernails. Because when you're doing this work around the collarbone, you can't have very much of a fingernail. Because you don't want to scratch anybody. Bump, 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 all the way up to the ear. Now we're going to take and we're going to drag our fingertips up right in front of the ear up to the hair. I want you to watch this stroke. My fingertips are very gently dragging right up in front of the ear. Because now I'm getting ready to transition from the neck up into the face. And transitioning, as you've already learned, is very important. Now watch Lucy, and you'll see her begin to relax as we make the transition. We come all the way up to the temples, and with the pad of my index finger and my middle finger, I'm going to very gently massage the temples. Does that feel okay?
Wonderful.
Good. So we're massaging the temples in nice gentle circles, not too much pressure, but not light superficial pressure, somewhere in between. And you can ask the person lying on the bed if that feels okay. And if they say yes, that's fine. And if they say it's too deep, you back up. And if they say it's not deep enough, you use more pressure. But we're not using fingertips, we're using finger pads. So we have the transition stroke. We have the temple stroke. Now we know that 70 to 80% of all stress is in the temple, forehead, and back and shoulder muscles. We learned that from the doctors who specialize in stress at Grosseto, Italy, and the big spas in Italy. So we're going to transition and temples. Now I'm going to stand up and get a wide stance because it's easier for me to reach. And I want to come right across the forehead. So I'm going to take my 2 thumbs and lay them side by side and gently drag them all the way across the forehead to the hairline. Now the idea is that I'm trying to get as much thumb pad as I can on the forehead. Does that feel okay?
Yes.
So my thumb's coming right across the edge of the skull, right above the eye, right at the eyebrow, and all the way over to the hairline. So I'm feathering off into the hair. And I can put lots of pressure on because I've got lots of surface under my thumbs against the forehead. And back to some temple strokes. Now, you can literally see her relaxing underneath these strokes. Now, the person you're massaging on the bed is going to be doing the same thing. This is a really uplifting, relaxing segment of the training. Thumb pads across and temples. Now I'm going to give you another stroke that's really interesting. Take the pads of your fingertips and place them over the eyebrow and make little circles. Now you may get 3 fingers or you may get 4, but you want to do little circles moving all the way up to the hairline. Little circles. And you're not rubbing on the skin, you're rubbing right through the skin into those little fine muscles that are against the edge of the skull. Very nurturing. Very relaxing. How many people do you know that get tension headaches? And where are their headaches usually? In the temples and the forehead. And we're going to address that right now. Now the left side the same way. 3 fingers or 4 fingers, but the pads, not the tips. Feel okay? Good. Now where's my opposite hand? It's touching her face, because we're always in contact on both sides. Now we're going to go right to the center. We're going to do the same thing, little circles, all the way up to the hairline. Now how many times could you do this? Oh, nobody's going to get angry if you do it for 15 minutes, because it feels good and it's relaxing. Now we're going to go back to the thumbs across the forehead. Thumbs across the forehead. Thumbs across the forehead. And now back to the temples again. Now, see how relaxed she is? See, all the stress has just completely left her face. She's just very relaxed. Little transition stroke up the neck and up into the hair. Up the neck and up into the hair. Very soft, very gentle, very nurturing. The forehead stroke. And the temple stroke. So let's talk about what we've gone over in this segment. We started with the collarbone, the clavicle, below the clavicle, above the clavicle. We addressed the sternocleidomastoid muscle at both of the positions that it starts, called origins, on both sides, the sternocleidomastoid muscle. Then we addressed the scalenes. The scalenes are from the sternocleidomastoid muscle to the top of the shoulder. We addressed those. And how long do you think you could stroke somebody's scalenes? Oh, I'd say probably 3 or 4 hours. No, I'm kidding. As long as you want to, as long as they want you to. And on both sides. Then you learn the transition stroke up into the face. Transition up the neck in front of the ears up into the hairline. The temples. The forehead. The little circles on the forehead. Remember, all 3, both sides and the center. And then the forehead and the temples. So you've learned a lot. Now I think it's time for you to pause and practice. Practice and enjoy what you've learned. When you're ready, come on back and we'll cover post-massage care, a review of the major elements we've learned, and then I'll share some secrets of a really great massage with you. Post-massage care is very important. I'm going to explain to Lucy what she can expect now that she's finished her massage. First of all, Lucy, you need to drink lots of water. 2 or 3 quarts over the next 24 hours will be great because it's going to help flush out all the toxins that have been released from your muscles. You're probably going to feel a little soreness because soreness goes along with releasing all these toxins, just like an exercise program would give you a little bit of soreness. And after that, if you are a little sore, you can take a nice hot soak and relax your muscles and make you feel really good. And I hope you heard that about 2 or 3 quarts of water because that's really important. Soreness is something that happens when you exercise a muscle or when you massage a muscle and you start moving those muscle fibers. And if soreness does occur, a hot soak is a really good way to relax. We're going to review all the things that you've learned in this program. And after our review, I'm going to give you some of my very best trade secrets. We've covered a lot. You did great. You learned how to set up your mat, basic massage strokes, aromatherapy, how to position your friend and yourself, draping your mat and your friend. And then you learned how to massage the lower back. Remember the first 2 basic strokes, the whole hand stroke and the erector bump with your fingertips? Then you learned the upper back and shoulders. You learned a couple of more strokes. The erector thumb bump, and the stress muscle stroke. Remember the levator scapula muscles? And then you learned the neck and base of the skull strokes, pulling the neck long, and more of those erector strokes with your fingertips. We turned your friend over and you learned the neck, temples, and forehead, a great way to reduce wrinkles. We've covered post-massage care, Most importantly, drinking lots of water after a massage. Be sure to review this video often until you become familiar and comfortable with each of the strokes. If you have enjoyed what you have learned so far, you will probably want to order one of our other tapes, our video on lower back pain. Your friends will be amazed at how easily you eliminate their low back stress and pain. Almost everyone is affected by low back pain at some time in their life. Or maybe our video on aromatherapy. This video teaches you the possible essences to address low energy, stress, tension, insomnia, and many other issues. If you really enjoyed our video and are interested in seriously studying massage, Georgetown Bodyworks offers a complete, comprehensive massage course. This course contains 14 instructional videos and includes everything that you see here. Now I'm going to give you the 2 quick massage tips and the 3 secrets I promised you for a really great massage. The first quick tip I want to give you is a quick 5-minute massage. Sometimes you just don't have time for a long massage. So you can have your friend squeeze the mat in her lap and place the face cradle underneath of her chin without the legs. And now you have your friend in a position to do a quick 5-minute massage on the neck and shoulders. It's really easy to get to the back and the shoulders and the neck. So you can just squeeze and rub. Remember the stress muscles, the levator muscles? Well, here we go. We've got them. What a great way to do a 5-minute massage. But the second quick tip is even better. You ever had a cat nap in the middle of the afternoon? Then you take a rest for a few minutes. We have something even better I want to tell you about. It's called the mat nap. What is the mat nap? Well, the mat nap is simply lying face down on your mat, comfortably on your bed, your face in the cradle, and as your hips set on the mat, the rotation of your hips is down, taking all the pressure off of your low back. So as you take your mat nap, your back gets longer. Your nervous system is relaxed. So from now on, don't take a cat nap, take a mat nap. Now I want to give you my 3 secrets of a really, really great massage. You're going to set the tone and the mood in the massage environment that you're using. Number 1, you want to ask your friend, and it's very important, ask them what they like. Ask them what kind of music they like. And if you can, play their favorite music during the massage experience. Make sure that the temperature of the room is comfortable for them, because realizing that they don't have anything over a lot of their skin and you do. Be sure that the lighting is not too bright or it's not too dark. Make sure that it's comfortable for your friend. And really importantly, after the massage experience, have a glass of water there for them. And if you really want to surprise them, have their favorite juice waiting after that glass of water. The second secret of a really great massage is to be absolutely sure that the pressure that you're using on your friend is what they're the happiest with. The massage experience needs to be great from their perspective, and the pressure that you place upon their muscles is important from their perspective, not from yours. So continually ask them, how's the pressure? Is that too heavy or is that too light? And thirdly, you want to focus all of your undivided attention on your friend. Most of us don't get enough attention, and it's really nice to be pampered once in a while.
We have truly enjoyed putting together this home massage instruction kit for your use. Our hope is that it helps you to relax and relieve the stress in your everyday life. Thank you for bringing us into your home, and we look forward to seeing you again in our continuing series of home massage videos.